The record of correspondence between Sir Ed Davey and Alan Bates makes for very grim reading, and it's been published today in the Sunday Times. And a party spokesman from the Lib Dem has said Ed's heart goes out to the families caught up in the scandal, and his focus is on getting justice and compensation for those impacted. Not realising that the post office was lying on an industrial scale is a huge regret. Ed will fully cooperate with the inquiry to get to the bottom of what went wrong. Well, that's new. And that is sort of reassuring. But during the period when Ed Davey and various other Lib Dem luminaries were in charge of the Post Office Ministry, or Vince Cable was in charge of the Department for Business, nothing was done. And it falls to the SNP to point out Joanna Cherry, for example, on Twitter, with government comes responsibility. And that not only goes for the period when they're actually dealing with this issue, but thereafter. Alan Bates wrote 5 letters to Sir Ed Davey during his time when he was Minister for the Post Office, and he urged Sir Ed to intervene and called for an independent external investigation instigated at ministerial level. But Sir Ed Davey wouldn't be budged. And Mr. Bates, Alan Bates, was increasingly frustrated by Ed Davey's dependence on the system and refusal to look beyond. He keeps pointing out this is a new victim, yet another victim. And he says that as Post Office Limited, POL, continues to express full confidence in the integrity and robustness of the Horizon system, and also categorically states that no remote access was possible which would allow accounting records to be manipulated in any way, therefore he can do nothing. He's just not prepared to go beyond that correspondence. And Alan Bates points out that the members of the Justice for Sub-Postmasters Alliance, the JFSA, had begun legal action against the Post Office and warned that the financial liability for taxpayers has the potential of being astronomical. And he says that Sir Ed's decision to ignore our offer to work with you and through your department leaves the group with no option other than to seek redress through the courts, which is now where the real truth behind the Horizon scheme will be exposed. So that's Sir Ed Davey, directly implicated in the scandal, Norman Lamb, another Lib Dem MP, and Joe Swinson, another Lib Dem MP, as well as Sir Vince Cable, who was the MP responsible for the Department of Business. So that's really the top of the Liberal Democrats implicated directly in the scandal. It's the Labour Party that set up the Post Office Limited, and it's the Conservative Party that turned a blind eye to the legal process which was beginning to expose the disaster. And only now, after ITV do the work that should have been done by ministers, that should have been done by the courts, only now that ITV put that story out in a compelling and emotional way, is Rishi Sunak now saying, well, I'll try and sort something out. But what about those who have risked everything and gone back to the system because they were reassured the system would look after them, because they were reassured that the system would put things right, and they were told, oh, no. We uphold the original findings of the case. How is that remotely possible? With that level of contempt for what these people have suffered. I don't think it's that surprising that people are reluctant to go back through the system. This is a point where the legal process must be abandoned, money must be repaid, and compensation must be arranged. It's as simple as that, because the entire legal process was predicated on two principles, both of which are shown to be at fault. One, a reliance on a faulty software, a Ryzen. And two, a reliance on the post office's own internal police system, which has been proven to be faulty. Those two principles alone, those two systems on which the entire legal machinery of prosecution was based, were at fault. Every single prosecution is therefore in question. Every single prosecution should be overturned on principle, and nobody should be made to crawl, cap in hand, for some token pittance, which anyway, the only person who's going to be lining their pockets out of this is the lawyer that represents both sides. The law has done very well out of this. The law has proven that it's not really very reliable. And that is not good for British law, for British politics, for British justice, and for the image of Britain abroad as it tries to recreate itself in this post-Brexit world. Oh my goodness.